Good evening, folks. Hope you guys are doing well. Going to get started here in a minute. Just as everybody starts coming into the room, nice to see you all. Got a lot of stuff going on. Chiefs made a signing today. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the draft, how they're going to get pressure, and some options. I see that folks are asking questions already. I appreciate that. I'll try to answer them as we go along. Just hold on before you start throwing all those questions in there because it's tough for me to keep up sometimes. Tonight's drink, yep. Irish Red, home brewed right here, Colorado water. Good start for the evening. Also want to let you guys know, I finally finished it. I'm kind of coming down because I've been real stressed out trying to get the Athletic Matrix draft guide done. The Matrix is done. There's a couple of players that are outstanding that didn't actually get full reports from their pro day, especially at Stanford and Washington State. I'm waiting on a couple of those. So there'll be an update here next week. But right now, the Athletic Matrix draft guide is out there. It's a digital download. So as soon as you get it, you can download it and have a look at it. It's all about athleticism versus production and how it ties in with the film. So for all of you that are buying all these film graded draft guides, that's great. Film's the number one thing. It's at least 50% of how you grade a player. All this that I do on the Athletic Matrix is coming along. It is showing you differences in players, giving you that extra edge about who can do what when based on their athletic ability. So it's a carry-on, but I do a lot of work for it. I hope you guys like it. And I got to tell you, go over to rogueapc.com. And if you guys, because you're my viewers, use the discount code RGR. Just throw that in there. It'll give you a couple of bucks off of the Matrix guide, and you can download it cheaper. So I appreciate your time, and I just want to make sure you guys get that code first and foremost. I'll mention it again later before we finish up. Super Chat is open. If you want to donate to the channel, feel free. If you do, make sure you put a question in there because I want you to get something for your money. So we'll get started. Late today, the Chiefs signed Jeremiah Attaochu, and I believe that's how he pronounces it. I went and checked with him, so hopefully I got that right. He is a guy that played Leo for the San Diego Chargers before they moved when Gus Bradley was their DC. Now, I've seen a lot of conversation about can he be the Sam? Is he going to be the Leo? I don't know that he's going to be anything, but Leo's what he's going to try to play. I don't know if they're going to like his athleticism because he does stand up quite a bit, or he did in San Diego anyway. What's up, Doug? How are you? I see a lot of familiar faces. Appreciate it. Gary, Dustin, Robert, bastard. Wasn't going to say that, but hey, Colby, all you guys, thank you guys for being in here so early. 127 so far, 3 minutes in. That's pretty good. I'm hoping we get to 600 tonight. Let's see what we can do. Tell your friends. Okay, so back to what Attaochu can do. He stood up a lot more in San Diego than I think either Ogbah or Okafor did. So there's that little wrinkle. But at the end of the day, I think still he's depth. I don't think it's a competition. I think they're doing that, like throw everything at the wall and see what sticks in terms of a pass rush. I don't think this removes them from the pass rusher in the draft. I still feel like this is get as much rush as you can from classic 4-3 DNs and see what else you can add. So that's where I'm at. Want to say hi, Doug, Alec, Chris, Otis, Young Bro. What's up, dude? Daniel, Jason, Derek, Hog Farmer, nice to see you back. I appreciate it. I don't know where Cool Mars is yet, but when he's here, I know you got a guy you want me to look at. I'm going to get it done. I'm just taking a breath, dude. So I'll get there. What else? So Attaochu, depth. Maybe he can push to play sometimes. He was never a full-time player in San Diego. So I don't know that that's going to change here. But he's a guy with experience. He's a guy that knows the Leo position. And for the other guys that are changing, that are learning new roles, like Breeland Speaks, like who this draft pick might end up being, that's a good thing to have in the room with you to help you do it. Nighthawk, I'm drinking my homebrew. Today, I'll just go with my own stuff. It's an Irish Red I made for St. Patty's Day, and I'm still drinking on it. So we had a snowstorm on St. Patrick's Day, so none of my friends showed up that were supposed to help me drink it. So that's the way it goes. So that's the news of the day. I had a big thing last week on Byron Murphy. We got a little bit of news, and it was kind of subtle, from Dane Brugler, who's hearing rumors that the Chiefs are looking at playing more zone in 2019 under Spagnuolo. And that just feeds into the Byron Murphy thing. So I'm kind of excited about that. I think that's going to be cool. And I think he's a player that I really like in general, but I think he can help this team. Athletically, if you didn't hear the Locked On Chiefs podcast yesterday, go check that out because I went into depth. But long story short, Byron Murphy is the same athletically as Marcus Peters was, and almost just slightly less productive. A lot of turnovers, a lot of PBUs, very instinctive player, can play off man, can play zone. He is my CB1, not only for the Chiefs, but for this league. So, and I know, I can't remember who asked it early, but somebody had a question there when I first walked into the room. So good job. Renak, good job. That's exactly where I was going today. So I hope I answered your question. So we'll start in on the questions. Carliners, today's NFL, can anybody with an off-field issue be drafted in the first round? Yep, there are teams that will look right past it. They'll check it out. They have private investigators and everything else. So if they're comfortable, they'll go for it. Gary's in here. Cool. Colby, was last year a bad year for Kendall Fuller? I won't say that it was bad. It was definitely down. It wasn't as good as before. And I think that was part of the scheme. I think that was him being coached to not be as aggressive as he needed to be or to play with as much cushion. You got to do one of the two things. Bob Sutton wanted to play man coverage without pressing, which doesn't work. It defeats the purpose, especially when you have guys that aren't super athletes. Kendall Fuller played excellently in Washington as an off guy. He played some man, but he plays good with a little bit of cushion. Not necessarily deep man, but off man, 3-4 yards. If he had been able to do that, I think he would have played better. I think he will have that opportunity coming up in this next season. So I look for Kendall Fuller to rebound and be really a CB1 for all intents and purposes. Doug Peter, I'm doing good. How are you, Doug? Frank, do you think Veach is waiting until after draft to possibly sign free agents like Boston and not to count against compensatory picks? I don't think the compensatory picks plays into Brett Veach's mentality at all. I think it's a nice thing to get if you get it. I don't think it's the focus. I think what they're trying to do is get players that they think can make an impact. And that's going to be in the draft. If they don't get their guys at the safety position in the draft, I think Trey Boston is a good option. But clearly, 2 years running, they've had the opportunity to sign him, and they have not. And even more so this offseason, Dave Merritt, the chief safety coach, DB coach, I guess is his official title, he was in Arizona last season with Trey Boston, knows him very well, has seen what he can and cannot do in that scheme. The fact that they haven't signed him gives me pause because clearly there's something deficient in what he can do versus what they want him to do. Otherwise, they would have signed him, I think. So I think they're looking for a young guy. And if they don't, then I think Boston will be an option because I don't think anybody's going to sign him before the draft. I think that's just the situation that he's in. So we'll see how it goes. Alec Potta, who's your number one player in the draft and can we get him? No, we cannot. We as in the Chiefs. Sorry, I don't usually do that. I don't think the Chiefs can get up to get him. I think the best player in this draft is Quinnen Williams. I think Nick Bosa is good, but I think Williams is better. I think he's younger. I think he's still on the upside. I think he's still got a lot of baby fat. I think he's got a lot of physical maturity that he can do. He's going to be even more of a beast down the line. Quinnen Williams is going to be very, very good. When you look back and you look at all the guys that have come out of Alabama on the interior defensive line, I think eventually you're going to see that Quinnen Williams is the best of all of them. So I don't think there's any chance they can get up there to get him, though. It would take so much draft capital to get in position in the top 3 to take him. It would make the trade for Patrick Mahomes look like child's play. So I don't expect it. Cole Lambert, good question. Do you think they'd take Baker at 29? That's DeAndre Baker out of Georgia, a press man corner with not a lot of long speed. He has to win early in the down and corral his guy. It depends on the scheme. If they're going to play press man, and I do believe that Spagnuolo is going to play either press man or zone. I don't think he's going to play that kind of patty cake close man and just kind of run with him. That's how Deandre Baker will get beat. Because he doesn't have that super long speed. Deandre plays really tough. He's got a nice edge to him. He's got a serious attitude, but he can be beaten. So I think he's a good pick. I think he might go a little bit later. I would rather see the Chiefs go up to 20 or so to get Murphy than to rely on Deandre Baker, but he is the number 3 corner on my board. And corners getting solidified, edge is getting solidified. The next couple of weeks for me will be getting my board ready so that you guys will see the week before the draft exactly how I have players stacked out for how they fit. And don't tell fans of other teams, but it'll be mostly Chiefs oriented. So, Chris Dietrich, I'm a loyal watcher, loving the show. Hey, thanks. I appreciate that. Daniel Riddick, you have questions. Oh, and I skipped too far. Robert Cole, thank you for your donation. I just didn't see it till just now. I know it's already been a couple of minutes, but thank you. I appreciate the help. Daniel Riddick, if we obtain Deandre Baker, what's the weak part of his game? The long speed. When he has to go up against somebody like Emmanuel Sanders or man, he's going to have trouble with Antonio Brown. So that's, yeah. He is a slider guy, but I think he's got good leaping ability, and I think he's got good timing. So maybe some of the bigger like possession type guys like Sutton in Denver, I think maybe he's going to be okay with. Next question. Hog Farmer, how are you? Caught 2 walleye. Good job. It's a good day out. Yeah. Hey, if you're in Nebraska and you catch walleye, I know which lake you're at, and you can let me know. And I'd love to eat walleye on the beach. Next question. Answered that, Nighthawk, what I am drinking. Is our D-line best in NFL? No, they're not. They have the potential to be very, very good. Derek Notty's got to get to the point where he can actually get home against the pass. Man, he had some great flashes last season. And I think he's going to play well against the run like he generally does, like he did in college. I think he's got some flash left in him to be a force against the pass and actually split some gaps and put pressure on the quarterback, and I want to see that. I think that will take pressure and attention away from Chris Jones and let him eat as well. And then we might be cooking with gas. Should the Chiefs, or I'm sorry, Cole Lambert, could the Chiefs add McCoy? They could. The cost is going to be pretty expensive, and I don't think that he's the player that he used to be. So I don't look for that to happen. Yevgeny Kemlev, I think. I don't know. Which quarterback would you like to see the Chiefs draft in the later rounds? I like Stidham myself. I think Rippon's got something to him as well, but in the late rounds, I'd go Stidham. There's people saying he might be a second rounder, which I think is ludicrous, but hey, I've been wrong about quarterbacks before. Honestly, if you watch or listen to any of my media, quarterbacks are what I talk about the least because people just get crazy about quarterbacks and they don't make much sense. So I just steer away from it, especially now that Chiefs have Mahomes. So good question though. Do you think we could have a no-name D like the 72 Dolphins? Rob, I like that question. Maybe. They got a long way to go till they get there, though. And quite honestly, they got to get tougher across the board. Chris Jones is good, but he's not super tough guy. You know, Alan Bailey was the tough guy last season. Who's going to be that guy this year? That's what I want to see. Trenton Dural. Did I say that right? I hope so. Are you anticipating a trade before the draft to address the corner position, or do you think it will happen through the draft? I assume you mean during the draft night. I still think they're probably negotiating, but I don't think anybody's going to pull the trigger on like an Xavier Rhodes or a Patrick Peterson until draft night. So I think there could be some fireworks at the time. So I will definitely have my eyes out. I'll be doing a live broadcast as soon as we know what's going on with the Chiefs. If the Chiefs trade up and they get on the clock, I'll jump on here and you guys can watch live with me react to what they do. Any news on Hill? Lazarus Dressler? No, I have nothing. It's been radio silence on Hill. In fact, I just talked to Matt Derrick. We finished a pod for tomorrow here just a couple minutes before we started this. He hasn't heard anything either. So there's just no news. We're going to hold tight and we're going to see what happens. If we were going to draft a wide receiver, who and what round? Man, that's a great question. So Chris Clark and I have been working on the Chiefs selections for the Locked On Network mock draft. And that's where all of the podcast hosts act as the GMs for their teams. And picking 29th, we stood pat. We didn't get any trade value. We offered a couple of teams. We didn't get any. And when it comes down, we were debating 2 wide receivers. One was Marquise Brown, who I think is the most explosive player in this draft. But the injury thing is scary. So we took him off the board. There's another one, and I'm going to have to make you wait until that mock is released, and you will hear it. There's another one on there that's really good. And there's a number of guys. There's Paris Campbell. There's A.J. Brown. Man, I think Andy Isabel's getting really highly overrated. He's still a low third, maybe 4th round player for me. But there's a lot of guys that can fill in and be that third receiver for the Chiefs. I like N'Keal Harry's upside, but I don't think he's achieved it yet. And I don't know that you want to spend a 1st rounder on him. Maybe one of the seconds, I could see that. Maybe we'll see. Same with Hakeem Butler. His drops have me scared off. He's not a 1st rounder in my book, but he could really help in the second. So we'll see what happens there. Answered Alex's question. Thank you. And Otis's. Mr. Hawks games. How badly do we need interior O-line? I think they're passable right now. I don't think it's we have to have it this second. I think they could certainly upgrade from Reader, but I think they're comfortable with him. I think they could possibly find another guard, but I don't think they have to. You have the finesse guy in Cam Irving. You have a power guy in Wiley who's got experience. You have another total question mark, but a guy that should be a complete sled driver in Khalil McKenzie waiting in the wings too at guard. Swing tackle / future tackle could be something that they look at as well. Thinking down the line about contracts for and age for Schwartz and Fisher. So don't rule that out. Derek Newson. Who is the best sleeper player that you see falling later in the draft that you would like and could fit into our offense defense right away? There's a couple. I like Voshon Josephs out of Florida. He's kind of an off linebacker, will linebacker type, can play in the nickel. I think he's had a really terrible, just like Ja'Kai Polite, really terrible pre-draft process. So what might have been a fringe 2nd rounder is now a 3rd or 4th rounder, and I think he offers some value there. I think Foster Barreau is a tight end that'll probably go in the 3rd round that has 1st round ability. So I think he's a value. Let's see. Isaiah Johnson, Lonnie Johnson, the 2 super long athletic corners. They're going to be 2nd rounders, maybe early 3rds. I think they're going to be value where they're selected as well. Next question. Who do you think about the receiver Dylan Mitchell out of Oregon? I have not looked at his film. I hear he's all right, but not terribly special. I can take a look at that here maybe next week. What are our top 3 draft needs, Gary Downs? They are, in my opinion, corner, safety, and edge rusher. In that order. I think you can make do with the safeties you have if you have to with new coaching. I think corners, there's still a lack of talent there. I think Breeland's a number 2. I think Fuller's a slot guy, which doesn't make him a number 1. It makes him specific to the slot role. I still think they need a stand-up outside number 1 corner to shut down half of the field. That's what I'd be looking for. I'd love to see Kemp get playing time. I would too, Rob. I think he's earned it. And they brought him back on a tender that's doable, so I think he will. Is the offense getting any changes? Not much. They'll put in some new wrinkles. It'll depend on personnel, and I think they're going to still look to add some tools. So for Mahomes, that is. Timothy Wilson, do you think with all the Raiders draft clout, do you think they can move up and get Bosa? Do you think and if they do, does that worry you? The Chiefs offensive line has dealt with Joey pretty well. Nick is a little bit more explosive, but he's not as strong. And honestly, he doesn't worry me that much. We're not talking about Von Miller super bendy edge rushers. We're talking about guys that are 5-techs, maybe 7s. I think it's dealable. It's able to be dealt with by the Chiefs offensive line. I think their tackles are athletic, and I think that helps them. I think the Chiefs' weakness on the offensive line is on the interior. And so I don't think that either of the Bosa brothers are in position to take advantage of that. Nighthawk, thoughts on Emmanuel Hall? He's fast. Yeah. I'd like to see a bigger route tree. I'd like to see a little bit cleaner cuts, especially on the in-breaking stuff, on the deep ins, on the comebacks, that kind of thing. But he runs the crosser nice. He runs the post nice. He could fit into that particular part of the role in the read offense. Sorry, I'm losing track. Questions as they scroll, you guys. If anybody wants to donate, hit the super chat icon there, and that'll help you pop up your question for me too. Any thoughts on Martel Spite as a linebacker? I have not done his film yet. I've heard 2 people that I trust mention him as a linebacker, though. So it sounds like it's within the realm of possibility. Red Royce. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm glad we're getting something out of it. Gavin Snow, would you rather take Adderley or Murphy? Personally, I would rather have Adderley and take Mullen out of Clemson in the 2nd round. I can get down with that. I think Murphy's the better player. I think Adderley fills probably a bigger need. So, hey, toss him up. I'm good with either. Adderley is my top safety, and Murphy is my top corner. I don't know, unless they trade up, that they're going to have a shot at either of them. So they need to be a little bit higher in the 20s is my feeling right now. I could be wrong. Let's see here. Should they trade out? Okay. Kelly Blevins, good question. Should they trade out of the 1st round for more picks? There is a really thick group of corners, safeties, edge rushers, and defensive linemen. They're going to be 2nd and 3rd round picks. So if you can't get the guy that you want, and you can't trade up to get the guy that you want, trading back is a viable option, especially if you can get back into the 30s, 10, drop 10 picks at most, and maybe pick up a 4th or even another top 100, because teams can trade their compensatory picks now. I think that would be great. I think you're still going to improve your team at multiple levels, and that's important. Baker or Greedy if we can't get Murphy? Greedy. Greedy's the best man corner in this draft. He won't tackle for you. He's not going to, go make big hits, but he can cover guys one-on-one down the field. So they are clearly Murphy, Greedy, Baker for me. Baker's iffy. I still have to do a little bit of film on Justin Lane and a couple other guys. So we'll say that's tentative. Yep, Jerry Cole. They did sign Attaochu. I talked about it earlier in the stream. Just skip back or watch it over. It'll be there. Let's see here. Next question. What do you think about the Chiefs adding Amani Aruarie? Danilo, good question. Corner from Penn State. Honestly, he's not very explosive to me. He's got decent athleticism, but I see him give up separation a lot that I don't particularly like. He's not a guy that's in the top 4 or 5 for me, but he's solid. I think if you played him off man, he could probably get by. But if you're going to play him man, I think you're going to give up a lot of plays. So not terribly high on him. In fact, I just watched his film 2 nights ago, so he's pretty fresh in my mind. Nighthawk, I talked about Emmanuel Hall and some of the routes that he can run. I think that he's going to be good there. Horrid Knight, nice to see you. Classic Beats, what do you think we still need to be picking up another wide receiver? Yeah, they still need to add another one just in case, because Sammy has a propensity to get hurt and Tyreek Hill might be in trouble. We don't know. So, yeah, definitely hedge your bets and get another wide receiver that can help you down the field. Somebody that Pat Mahomes can exploit to make big plays. JJ Allison, do we really need a center this year? No, they don't need it. They got Raider, and he's okay. He's solid, but he's definitely somebody that can upgrade. Rob Mulligan, Sherman at tight end. I think he will line up at tight end some, but he's still primarily a fullback, and I think they want to add a bigger, taller athlete as a second tight end. David Angel Molina. What would be the most that you give for Patrick Peterson? Because it sounds like it would be too much. I would give up a 1 and a 3. Not this year, though. I'd give up next year's 1 and a 3. And I'm okay with that. He makes this team that good by shutting down half of the field. So that's what I would do. Yep. Attaochu signed. Yes. Lindy Koenig, any word on what happened to Jehu Chesson last season? Just not explosive, didn't make enough plays, couldn't contribute as a wide receiver. I want to say he signed in New York. I think he's still on their roster. Any news on Hill? Nope, nothing. Sorry, didn't see someone else. Oh, no worries. Do you think the Chiefs defense will get into the top 15? Right now, I think they have a very good possibility. I don't think they're there yet. I think they're still probably 25 or lower. It depends what talent they add here pretty quick. Disciples, thank you. Appreciate it. Do you prefer Taylor Rapp, Nasir Adderley, or Jonathan Abram? Wow. Apples and oranges. I prefer Taylor Rapp. I love the way that he plays. He's instinctual. He's a hitter. He makes plays on the ball. He's a little bit slow, but he's a box safety that can maybe slide out to robber. And I love what he does. Adderley is the better free safety. Abrams hits like a ton, but he can't cover man on man. Rapp needs to be in a zone. Adderley needs to be at free. Abram needs to be, he needs to be an enforcer. I like all of them in their own ways. They are very different players. In fact, I haven't even started stacking my safeties yet for the board. When I do, you guys will see it. I'll go through it and do videos on it and all that kind of stuff. Almost 300. Tell your pals to join us. So we'll see where they come out, but they are very different players, all three of them. Somebody else just donated. Thank you for you. Who was it? Brett Camber. Thank you. I appreciate it. David Angel, I appreciate you as well. The donations are great, you guys. I really appreciate when you guys do that. It helps me get through. So buy lights and software and everything else. So you'll get it back in the videos, I promise. Emmanuel Hall, I talked about him, Nighthawk. Okay, got that one. Gary Downs, any chance we get a Bama player? There's several that are out there that are solid. I just don't know how it'll fall out. I don't think they target Bama players as any particular thing that they want to go get. It's all individualized on the player itself, himself. Dude, Hog Farmer, you're right. I need to have a drink. It is getting warm. But it'll keep. I guarantee you. What's the top 5 DB safeties on my big board? I haven't set them all. The corners are Murphy, Greedy, Baker right now. The corners are Adderley. Can't remember who I have 2 right now. I think it's Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and then Abram. Only because I'm emphasizing right now free safeties rather than strong safeties. If I had to pick one, coverage-wise, it'd be Taylor Rapp and then Abram if I was doing the strongs. Kelly Blevins, thank you. Dave Wilkerson, trade for Peterson answer. If they could do it, I would love it. I think Peterson on the Chiefs would be a big boon. James, scrolled too fast. Sorry. James Fitch. Everyone is disappointed in losing Houston in 4, but realistically, how many games do you think the 18 PassRush actually won? 4, maybe 5, something like that. Here's the thing is I think it's still potential because I think they were degraded by Justin Houston rushed. I think if I looked at the PFF stats, like 76% of the time because of Sutton. So I still feel like no matter what they did last season, they were still degraded because of the coordinator. So that's what's feeding into that. Ryan Platt, how are you? Dave Wilkerson, what's up, bud? Aaron Morrow, good question. What do you think of Jalen Hurd? And I like Elgin Jenkins. Jenkins is a good player. He's a little tall. And I'd like to see a little more athleticism out of a center that's going to play in the zone scheme that the Chiefs want to run. But that's me. Nothing to say that he can't do it. I think he's going to be second round, maybe high second round. Jenkins, I'm not 100%. I don't know how people feel about him. Jalen Hurd disappointed me in his pro day. I expected him to run faster. I think he's going to be a day 3 guy. High, 4th round. Maybe he sneaks into the 3rd, but I don't think anybody's going to take a huge chance on him between the injury and the unimpressive testing numbers. I don't know, but I like his thing. I mean, moving from running back to wide receiver is kind of a big leap. I mean, yeah, some of the skills are crossover, but that's still a big difference. Brett Cranbeer, thank you. Do you think the run game will be sufficient? I think it can be as much as Andy wants it to be. It won't be for me. I'm always going to want to run more. But I think I really like Darrell Williams, and I think he has a chance to step up. I think Hyde is a nice guy back there. So you get the guy that can do everything in Damian Williams. You can get your specialty guys that can come in and spell him. I think Darrell proved that he can catch out of the backfield, so you don't lose that when you go on 3rd down if he happens to come in. So I think that's really great. And I think they're going to add somebody else, but I think they're in good shape. That was a good question, Morbian 13. Scott D, what round would you draft a tight end? There's a couple of good ones. I personally would be aiming around the 3rd, but because they have 2 seconds, I can live with that. I think a wide receiver or a tight end in the 2nd round for the Chiefs this year is good value. There's a lot of talent in there, so I'm perfectly fine with 61 or 63. Disciples. Oh, Gary. Yep. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Yeah, him and Matthew are very similar players. They could be very interchangeable. Is the ISU running back Montgomery a good fit? He's got a lot of miles on him, man. A lot of carries, a lot of touches. I don't think they need him is the thing. He might be a fine fit. They run, I think, a little bit more power at Iowa State from the film that I watched than zone, but they do run sun zone, so I think he'd be fine. I just want a more explosive back and somebody that doesn't have as many hits. Rob Mulligan, do you think Gronk will be retiring? With Gronk retiring, we'll finally beat the Patriots. I don't think Gronk really put in that much that beat them. I think there are other factors. So hopefully it helps, but you never know. Keith Hayden, thanks for the donation. Appreciate it. D'Anthony Thomas, he was fast and should be back. Yeah, I don't think the pot arrest is going to hurt him. I think it's all about whether he's actually healthy or not. He's had a rough go of injuries lately. If he can play, Andy Reid likes him, and I think D'Anthony Thomas will be back, at least in camp. Whether he makes the roster, I don't know, but I think they'll give him a shot. Big test, Justin Ferguson. I think you mean Jaylon Ferguson out of La Tech. And yeah, he visited the Chiefs this last week. I tell you what, he is, man, he's Tamba Hali without the explosion. That's the problem. The guy's got great power. He knows how to use his hands. I wish he used them more in the film that I've watched, but he's just not explosive enough in the NFL, I don't think. I hope they don't take a chance on him. I wouldn't select him until probably the bottom of the 3rd, so that's where I'm at on him. Najee Hutchins, Hakeem Butler is our future. Maybe. He's a 2nd-round guy in my book. He doesn't get separation enough for me, and I think that's what that's what Andy and Mahomes really want, a separation. Philip Carter, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. That's a big one. Linda Koenig, thank you for yours as well. You guys, if you're going to make donations, hit a question in there. I'll make sure you get your money's worth. Dr. Sanitary 43. I'm not sure what 42 we're doing, but okay. What's your opinion on the perfect draft based on the position they take in each round? A perfect draft includes a shutdown corner, a deep ball center fielder, free safety, an edge rusher, and an all-pro center. If you can make that happen, you tell me how. I'll be happy if they get 2 solid starters out of it. Metal Rocker 13. Who do you think the pass rushing you think that Casey could use in the 1st round? Man, if they were going to trade up, I'd go after Brian Burns. I think he brings a speed element that'd be really savvy to have mixed in with all these power rushers the Chiefs have been acquiring. I would like to see that myself. Beyond that, I think Clelin Ferrel's a power rusher that they could add if they're just going to stick with that paradigm. Jay Whirl. Nope, Matt Blue. It's not a pimp cup, but it is a goblet that is super, super. It holds 19 ounces. It's from Avery Brewing. It's a beautiful cup. So you can order them online. That's where I got mine. Good call, Matt. JM Worrell. Do you think somehow the 4th round selection trading through or down? Yeah, I think they could. I think they're definitely going to trade around, whether it includes a 4th rounder or not. I think really if they're going to concentrate, they want to pull the 6. They have 2 6s and they have a 7. They want to pull those up into the 5th, 4th round. So overall, they can stack their selections between 2 and 4. The bulk of the guys that are going to make big impacts and give you super value are going to be in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. Even more so than most years, and that's fairly consistent, but this year in particular, there's a lot of solid talent in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. Okay, what else you guys got? We're getting there, almost 336 minutes in. We're going to wind this down because I got to cook dinner for the kids. So who do you think is the AK-1919? Never thought about it. Good question. Who's the cutest Chiefs player? Yeah, I got nothing. Master 10K, who will be the leader on the D this year? It's going to be Chris Jones, unless Tyrann Mathieu takes over. It might be the both of them. I don't know. We're going to see how that all comes together and gels, but it's going to be interesting to see who's the vocal guy. I think Chris Jones has a really positive outlook. If you guys have been to camp and been on the fence in the morning, man, he is consistently there and upbeat and a happy dude. And I think that's something that can help lead this team, especially if he can turn on the serious part of him when he needs to. That's going to be the key. Thoughts on UMass RB Marquise Young? I haven't watched his film. He's on the list of guys that I think are draftable, but I don't think he's a high priority. Beyond that, I'd have to take a look, and if I can, I will try to. Okay, SJM, I talked about center a while ago. Just kind of back up the stream, and you'll be able to see it. What else you guys got? Okay, Jose Puga. Is Carlos Hyde better than Damian Williams? No, I don't think so. I think Carlos Hyde is a different style. He runs harder. He's more of a power back, and I think Damian Williams is more slippery and has way more acceleration. And in today's NFL, pass catching, acceleration, separation are the keys to making big plays. Ryan Platt, I don't think PP will be available, Patrick Peterson, without giving them our draft, basically. Yeah, they might be asking just a ton. I know he wanted out, and then he kind of took that back, and maybe they made him happen. He doesn't want to leave. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, there's only so much you can give up, even for a player of Patrick Peterson's caliber. Heisman highlights. Hey, I've watched your stuff. Good job. I watched Jaylon Williams tape against Ole Miss and Notre Dame and fell in love. He also has great length. Man, he has length for days. And he is not like the classic can't run, doesn't have enough coordination kind of long corner either. I think he's going to be a low 2nd, maybe a 3rd round pick. He's somebody that's definitely on my list, probably after Lonnie Johnson, after both the Johnsons, Isaiah and Lonnie. But he's visited the Chiefs. I think they like him. And if they want to have that flexibility to play some zone and some man, a long, strong corner like Jaylon Williams is going to be a nice pickup. So I hope that they do it. Taylor Tamaanaha. I hope I said that right. Thoughts on tight ends, Kahale Waring and Irv Smith being taken in the 2nd and 3rd by KC. I think Foster Moreau is going to be there in the 2nd. Maybe not at 63, though. I think Waring's a 3rd rounder. I think Smith's probably a 2nd rounder. I wouldn't prioritize either of those guys. The only guys that I would really make a move for is Fant and Foster Moreau. Metal Rocker, should the Chiefs take a chance on Sue? I wouldn't. I don't think that does what they want to get done. So I'd skip it. What do you think of Butler from Iowa State? I think he's good, but I think he doesn't get enough separation. I think he's got some athleticism, but he doesn't cut well enough. I don't like his in-breaking routes, and I think he relies on his body too much. So while he's very good, I don't think he fits this offense very well. I personally wouldn't draft him until the second, but somebody else would probably draft him long before that. Big test. Are you on the beer app Untapped? I am. I have to look up what my username is, though. Hang on a second. Yep, I'm on there all the time. I try to record that stuff. I'm kind of addicted to it, and I do have a very good time with it. So I am Ryan142, Ryan Tracy 142 on Untapped. Hit me up. Good question, Grist go ham. Grits go ham. Okay. What round do you think Quinnen Williams? I think I answered that before. I think he's probably a third. That's my guess. I don't know. Somebody might like him. You never know. Philip Baggins, if it was up to you, what 4 lineman would start other than Chris Jones? Speaks Okafor Noddy. That's what it's got to be. I like Williams, but I don't think he's better than Noddy. And I think the more reps you give Noddy in his sophomore season, the better he will be. So that's what I would definitely do. Good question, though. That was an interesting one. Any surprise player that may stand out this year? Man, Neiman's kind of a long shot, but he's got some skills athletically, so I won't put it past him. Keep an eye on Neiman. Aaron Morrow, what round does Foster Moreau go? Oof, I like him a lot and was able to get him in the 5th round in my mocks. You must be looking at Draft Network because they have him way underrated. He's going to go on day 2. I think he might go in the 2nd round is what I think. His athleticism is up there with Noah Fant. In the athletic matrix. Oh, and for all of you guys that joined lately, the athletic matrix that I do, the draft guide is on rogueapc.com. And there's a discount code on there. Put in RGR and you get a couple bucks off of it. So check that out. And on there, in the athletic matrix, he and Fant are both higher rated than the athleticism for Travis Kelce. So that gives you an idea of what he can do physically. Yeah, he has some maturing to do. He has to learn a little bit, but he's willing in the run game, and he's got athleticism. That's a good question. Good job, Aaron. Hopefully they update that. So, Chris Warner, do you believe that Brett Veach is going to make an eye-dropping move before the draft? I think he might make it on draft night. I think we might get into the mid-teens, and we find out, holy crap, the Chiefs are on the clock, and I'll have to jump on here and get on YouTube. And if they do, I will go live on YouTube. I'll be live just after the 29th pick, if that's the way it goes. But if they jump up, I'll get on there ahead of time. We can all watch it together. Next question is, Armani Watts going to have a big year? I don't know if Armani Watts is even healthy. That's the problem, Daniel. It's a good question. I hope that he is. I think he's got a lot of potential, but I just don't know. So, Anthony Taylor, thanks for the donation. Appreciate that. Daryl Henderson, Memphis RB. I think his height is 5'8". Let me look it up. I got all the stats over here to my left. Bear with me a second. And Henderson, if I can find him, he is 5'083". That's 5'8" and 3/8. So yes, you are absolutely right. Curtis Douglas, what are the chances that any of these CBs after our top 3 contribute right away? CBs, it's solid, but it's not great. Fuller can play outside when you're just 2, but most of the time you're in 3 and he's going to be inside. So that leaves Breeland and Charvarius Ward on the outside. And I think you can upgrade from both those guys. I think both the Johnsons are both tall and long. I think Lonnie's the better athlete, the better speed. He's like almost 6'3", and I think he ran a 4.43. I got that up here too. Let me look. Yeah, he ran a 4.43 at 6'2". That's pretty incredible. So, yeah, I think he will be able to contribute right away. There'll be a learning curve. He'll get taken advantage by some of the more savvy wide receivers the Chiefs will play. They have quite the lineup. You know, they're playing the Patriots again. Sanders in Denver is going to take advantage of young guys. That's just the way it's going to be. So, Skylar, I don't know why you're accusing me of stuff. I don't know what you've been saying. I'm answering questions, not taking comments, but So Skylar Polk, if you're going to make a big deal out of it, here you go. I've been hearing that we could trade for Gerald McCoy. What do you think? I think it's dumb. I think he's over the hill and he won't fit. I don't think he'll give you the value. There, you happy? Okay. Man, you guys got to realize there's 300 people in here making comments. It's hard for me to track everything. If you don't put the question marks at the beginning of your question, hard for me to keep up. Sorry to be a jerk. Never mind. Next question. You think we will have missed less tackles this season because, yeah, Dylan Hale, you're absolutely right. There were a lot of missed tackles last year. I think that will improve, and I think it's as much scheme as it is the player because I think the linebackers in particular were coached to slow down. So the hesitation just drives me insane. Do you think that we stay at 29? No, I think they move one way or the other. Gary Downs, any idea how Byron Pringle will be? I don't know. I haven't heard anything about his recovery, so I hope he's there. Aaron Morrow, does K-Pass have a chance? Oh, you use fan speak, huh, Aaron? Okay. Yeah, they obviously have him undervalued as well. I think K-Pass will get some shots. I just don't know if he can pull off or not. I don't know how he's gone down. We'll see. Samir Mika, thank you for your donation. Are the Chiefs, do they have too many linebackers? No, I don't think so. I think honestly they need a few more. I'm not sold on Wilson as the Sam, and I'm not sure that they're going to be able to keep Hitch at will. So I'd like to see somebody Sam-ish come back in there, but I like Neiman, and he might be, the dark horse to take over that role. So no, I don't think they have too many. Chiefs fan 58. Why? I assume that's 58 years. Good job. Longer than me for sure. K-Pass could be a beast in the new scheme. Do you think he gets better under Spags? Yeah, I think he does. He rushed wide 9 out of, I think it was at UConn, was he? Played a lot of wide 9 there, and that's what that's what Spags is going to have him do. If he can make it in this league, he's going to make it in Spags defense. Gary Downs, my Facebook handle, I just think it's Ryan Tracy NFL, just like my Twitter handle. So I can check that for you, but I think that's what it is. Let's see here. My opinion on Chiefs releasing Barry, I think it just came down to money. I'm a little surprised, and from what Therese said, I think he was surprised too. So the Chiefs go offensive line early in the draft. I don't think so, but if that's where the value is, I can see him doing it. Aaron Morrow, I did go rogue there. Hey, there's some guys that I'm going to be out in left field on, like Josh Allen. I don't think he's a top 10 pick. He's probably going to go in the top 3, but I ain't one of them. Mike Hall, after the first round, do you think the Chiefs will get a wide receiver, A.J. Brown or N'Keal Harry? What are your thoughts on those two? A.J. Brown is number 2 on my board behind Marquise Brown. I think N'Keal Harry is a little more developmental. I think he belongs in the 2nd, maybe 3rd round, but I think he's got a lot of upside, so I wouldn't mind that either. I think AJ and Marquise are both going to be gone in the 1st, though. Ian Kelly, Rock Ya-Sin or Amani Aruaye? I got to get better at that. Who would you rather have between those options? Man, that's a tough one. I think the better coverage guy is probably Aruaye. But I think Rock Ya-Sin's a tougher dude. I think he plays man, especially press, better. I think he's got a better attitude. I think he's got edge. I think he's tough and nasty, and that's the thing that Brett Veach has been talking about. So I think that fits a lot more. So yeah, either or. Let's see here. Can K-Pass play Sam or Leo? He can play Leo. Leo rushes a lot. He can't play Sam because he's going to be responsible for tight end coverage a good bit of the time. Let's see. Sorry, I had to scroll, you guys. Do you believe that there will be able to bring home the trophy this year? I think if they can get the defense to middling, I think they can win the Super Bowl, yes. It's going to hinge on what happens with Tyreek Hill because he's not replaceable. You can try to make up for him, but he is not replaceable. So that'll be the big thing. Oh, crap. We're almost 50 minutes. I got to wrap up here, folks. So let's do a couple more and we will get to it. Ethan Hunt, good name. What do you think about trading for Rashad Jones? Nope, I wouldn't trade. Not worth a trade, in my opinion. I think he'll either be let go or you can get similar play out of other players. Let's see here. What do you think if there were a trade up in the draft, let's say 21, would you try to get Murphy or an edge like Clelin Ferrel, or possibly Ryan Burns? Runnock, I like Murphy. I like Burns. I think Ferrel might be there at 29. He'll definitely be there at 21. So I'm with you there. So Casey K 69. Top 3 guys you really want the Chiefs to maneuver around to get in the first 3 rounds. Wow, we're not just named 2 of them, Byron Murphy and Brian Burns. I think he's a speed rusher that could really help as a Leo if he's outside the tackle. And they play that 3 under a lot of the time. Another guy that I really like, man, I don't fall for players that much, but I like the way Abram plays, but I like the way Rapp plays. So either of those guys too. Let's see. Last couple of questions here, guys. Mahomes' athleticism covered up by offensive line flaws. Why not go after a lineman help? Only because I don't think it's going to get drastically improved. I think Mahomes has enough escapability that he can make do. That is someplace they can upgrade, though. I just don't know if it's a high priority given what they need on defense. I want to see Sam. I want to see him play Sam. I assume you're playing K-Pass. Times Jeremy Jones, and I think he has the speed to. Okay, well, maybe you guys are right. If they give it a shot, I'll definitely watch and see what we think. I won't say no. Let's see here. Who do you think the Chiefs should trade for DL and put with Jones, Okafor, and Speaks? Trade for? If you could trade for Quinnen Williams, sure. I'm hoping that Christian Wilkins drops and is an option. I think he's a really good player, sounded everything. I think it could really help the D-line down the long run. But again, we're only talking about playing 2 interior defenders now, so there's kind of a spot missing on the D-line. So, okay, last couple here, you guys. Who should the Chiefs draft? Oh, I just answered that one. Shoot. Talked about Kahali Waring. Okay, Donnie Couch. Do you think Penny Hart as a receiver, do you think K-Pass will break out this season? I don't think K-Pass will break out. I hope he makes the roster and he can actually contribute in a good way. I think Penny Hart's interesting, and I think he's going to be like a late round, 6th or 7th round pick. Somebody will take a flyer on him. So, let's see. Last question. Robert O. Love Adderley. Thoughts? I think Adderley's my top safety. I think he could help this defense in playing center field and letting Teron Matthew do what he does underneath in that robber / nickel corner role. I think he is a guy that can play side to sideline and really help this defense. So if they end up with Nasir Adderley, I'm more than comfortable with it. Even though he's a small school guy, I think it's really going to help. So those are the guys that I like. You guys had some great questions tonight. Thank you to all of you that donated. I appreciate that. And make sure you check out rogueapc.com for the draft guide. It's over 200-page PDF. It's a few bucks. It's not really expensive. Use the code RGR to get some of that money back. I appreciate all of you hanging in. Make sure you check out the rest of the channel. I have more videos, as well as the Locked On Chiefs podcast. We're doing all kinds of stuff for you. So have a good night, and I'll talk to you next Monday.